This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.
All right. How about now, Dave? Somehow I was muted. Good grief. So, I'll wait for Dave Guyette to give me the heads up that we have sound. Every once in a while we have a technical glitch. I apologize. Dave Guyette, give me the thumbs up, buddy. All right, perfect. So anyway, I was talking about the obviously weather here. No big deal. Outside last night watching the Miami Appalachian State game, which was a good game. I knew Appalachian State was going to give Miami a run. We'll talk about college football later. I did want to mention yesterday being the anniversary of 9/11. I did a vlog on Friday, and I replayed it several times through the weekend. It expresses my feelings about the entire thing, obviously reflecting on the tragedy and the lives that were lost and such. Give it a listen. I mean, again, this isn't a political show, but one thing, it shouldn't take a tragedy like we had then to end up where we were as a people coming together as we did on 9/12 and the weeks and months after that. So give it a listen. And it's also about how sports helped, ease some of the pain, at least for a little bit of time when the families were invited to the games and whatnot. And I thought the Mets and Yankees did a great job last night. So good job by them. So Lots to cover today. We'll cover the baseball races, a little bit of news to talk about in baseball. We'll get into just a little bit of the NCAA. Since we do have the NCAA show, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but there's some big games, big upsets yesterday. Some big news out of the Big 12. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, we'll get into the NFL. And I'll do my picks. You guys have all got your picks in. You can certainly feel free to comment still. I'll try to leave us plenty of time to do that before Mark Mancini comes on at 10:25. And we'll get into some baseball chat, the Big 12 chat. We'll talk about he wants to talk about the Lakers. I'm not sure I'm going to talk about the Lakers. But then we're going to have a little segment, which we'll probably do each week. 2 things guaranteed to happen in today's NFL games and 2 things you may not expect to happen. So don't be surprised if. So that'll be fun. So I'm guessing you guys didn't hear the play-in. You didn't hear anything. So anyway, we're going to start with Major League Baseball today, and we'll probably go through this a bit quicker. I will, obviously, certainly want to deal with your comments. But let's look at some of the news of the day before we jump into anything else. The big news last night is Major League record set from no-hitters, as I knew there would be. I did predict there'd be 12. The Brewers had a combined no-hitter with Corbin Burns and Josh Hader for the 9th official no-hitter. We all know there's 10. Not sure, Drew. It could be where you logged in from. It really doesn't matter. You'll get the same show, and I'm getting your comments. If you're on Northeast Streaming Sports or you're on TGI Sports Talk, you will certainly will see your comments. It's when you end up like on YouTube where I can't as well. Good morning, Rick, Keith, and podcast fans, and Kenny as well. We'll get Kenny's breakfast menu here maybe in a little bit if Kenny's here. Anyway, talking about the Milwaukee Brewers no-hitter last night and being the a record 9th no-hitter. Look at, you guys know my feeling. There's 10 no-hitters this year, by the way. Madison Bumgarner threw a no-hitter. Morning to Kenny Gifford. Drew can't stay long. Got to mow the damn lawn. Douse it with gasoline, Drew. It's just light it on fire. You'll be done with it for the year. Neighbors may not like it, but back to my no-hitter. I love this stream of consciousness this morning. What's Drew got here? Oh, same comment. So, again, great job. Corbin Burns is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. Josh Hader is one of the best pitchers coming out of the bullpen in Major League Baseball. The Brewers are one of the best teams in Major League Baseball. But this was not the 9th no-hitter of the season, by the way. It was the 10th. Madison Bumgarner threw a no-hitter in the second inning of a 7-game doubleheader. Didn't get a chance to pitch 8 and 9. It didn't rain. I understand why the rule was put in 20-some years ago, because there were rain-shortened doubleheaders or rain-shortened no-hitters. And well, Major League Baseball shortens games to 7 innings, which I believe may go away next year. Thank God. You cannot penalize a pitcher, in this case, Madison Bumgarner. It almost happened in the first game of that doubleheader, too, with the Braves pitcher, and I can't remember who it was now. But that's a no-hitter, guys. He didn't get a chance to come out and pitch the 8th and 9th. Or somebody else. So, we get combined no-hitters more than we get no-hitters these days, just because of the way the game's played. But let's see what Drew's got here. We're going to talk a little bit about some other stuff. Let's get the baseball done while Drew's here. We are getting the baseball done. Drew, come on, it's been cold. It doesn't need it. Well, one more time. It is growing slower, I can tell you that. The grass is slower than it's been. I feel like I'm awful high on the screen here. All right, guys. So what else did I have to talk about? We talked about that. Bad news for the Sox is they're in a heated wild card race now with the Yankees the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the A's, and the Mariners. That's the big race now in the American League, right? And we'll talk about this now as we'll start to kind of blend the news with the races. The divisions are wrapped up. The Rays are 9 games ahead. The White Sox are 11 games ahead. The Astros are 5.5 games ahead. The Rays and Mariners are not catching them. But it's really the wild card now, at least in American League. We'll stick with the American League for the moment. And you have got 5 teams within 2 games of the 2 wild card spots. Kenny Gifford talks about how they hope they go all 7 innings because they can finish under 3 hours. Well, that's not the answer. It's not changing the fundamental. One of the big fundamental rules of the game is you play 9 innings, 27 outs, not 21, unless you're in high school. These guys aren't in high school. You can speed up the game just by calling a strike zone and enforcing the rules that are already in play. I've been through this 100 times. That's the cause of grass and weeds. Yeah, the heat and the rain, it's been I had a horrible, I can't believe I'm going off on crabgrass now, but had a horrible case of crabgrass. In the middle of the season, I worked so hard, put so much money into my lawn this year. It looked great. Then the really scorching heat came and the crabgrass just took over. Now, after going to work on it with tons more dollars, I've got the crabgrass gone and the spring's here, or the fall's here. Anyway, we'll overseed it here in a week or two as soon as we're going to get some rain, then get the winter fertilizer on, and we're good till next year. Back to baseball, guys. So as I said, right now the Red Sox have that number 1 seed over the Yankees and the Blue Jays, who are tied for the 2nd slot. Blue Jays are playing some great baseball. Great baseball. 9-1 the last 10. Killed the Yankees. I was at the game last Monday, and it was a great day to be at the ballpark. Horrible baseball. Horrible baseball. But these 5 teams they're gonna battle it to the wire. I just don't think the way the Yankees are playing. I mean, they get a win last night, but they were fortunate. No, they battle the Mets, but I don't think the Mets or Yankees make the World Series. Drew's comment here. We'll get into the NL West here in a little bit, and the NL West could have changes at the top. I'm talking about the American League as far as the division races being wrapped up for the moment. I don't think. They could have a change at the. I'll take a quick look since we're talking about it, Drew. You may not be here long, so. What do we got? It depends who gets hot. I guess in the National League East, it depends on who plays the bad teams. Because every time somebody gets on a streak where they're playing the Marlins or Washington or Arizona, they go off and go 9-1. Now they're all back to playing good teams, or in the Yankees' case, theoretically a decent team. God, what a bunch of nonsense going on there. But the Braves still got a 3.5 game lead, and the Phillies could catch them. I don't see the Phillies catching them. I certainly don't see the Mets catching them. Too many things going on there. I still like the Braves to eke that out. Back to the American League, though. Boston, Chris Sale's just come back from arm surgery last year. Just back, I don't know. I don't know if he's made 3 or 4 starts. And now he's out with COVID, so that's going to be a blow to them for sure. Trying to read my note here about trying to read my note that I wrote down here to chat about here. And I can't read it, of course. What is the note? Let me see if I can jog my memory with a headline here. Hayward hurt. We talked about that. Giants, not a big deal. Not a big deal. Not really sure what I wanted to talk about there. Anyway, Mets and Yankees last night. This whole series, look at the Yankees are terrible. Dave Guyette says they should bring back 9-inning doubleheaders where you buy one ticket and see both games. That probably won't happen as a rule. I think we still get a handful of those now and again, Dave, but money rules, and they can have these day-night doubleheaders and charge you twice. Get 2 sets of fans in there and make twice the money. Best thing for baseball is if it starts in the snow. Drew, Jays and Mariners, hottest teams in the AL. Everything else is just treading water. I agree. You know, it's amazing. I mean, the Jays made up all this ground. The Red Sox, all the time, the Yankees have been struggling just as much, and they did gain some ground. Yankees' collapse has been just earth-shattering. They fooled me with this 13-game winning streak, and I said, as we got near the end of it, you know, they did a lot of that with Torres out, with Sanchez on COVID, and Luke Voit got hot, and they played Sanchez in the outfield, and Sanchez played better when he was playing in the outfield. Then, of course, you know, I think the game we went to on Monday, he didn't play the outfield because he actually had to run hard after a ball in right field, and he didn't play the next day, DH, which put Voit on the bench against a lefty, which is nuts. Stanton's got to be able to play the outfield on this team because Joey Gallo's got to be sitting. Aaron Boone for batting Joey Gallo second for as long as he did with a 167 on base percentage. Absolutely ridiculous. Unless I want to say Aaron Boone's not making up the lineups, which is entirely possible the way the game is run today, that the front office is making up the lineups. It's just ridiculous in my mind that Joey Gallo has spent more than a month in the 2 slot. Now, he sat a bit here since this J series, as he should. I know he looks like – that's a good line, Kenny. Actually, he looks like a Yankee fan. Oh, my gosh. That's funny. Oops, I got something from Drew here. Yankees defense is horrendous. Even Gold Glover's being affected. I don't understand. Well, you know what? Urshela made a horrible error on Monday. Gleyber Torres made a horrible error on a simple play again Monday. And the night before that, before they started playing the Jays, they're playing the Orioles. It's not, to me, this is the point I started to make. It's not I don't think it's a coincidence that the Yankees were winning 13 games in a row when they were playing a different brand of baseball. Better defense up the middle with Wade and Velasquez playing shortstop. I don't care what they hit. Gleyber's not hitting. Why do I care what they hit? Gleyber's got to sit. And these guys were moving base runners. They were playing a little bit of small ball, believe it or not. Not just station to station, waiting for somebody to hit a home run. But I said, as we got closer and closer to Gleyber coming back, and then Sanchez coming back, and Sanchez just blows the game Friday night against the Mets. Good, you know, Sanchez has to go. Torres, I'm okay. We got to move him to second base or someplace else. And last night, unless Urshela got hurt, and I haven't seen that he got hurt. If you guys have seen that Gio Urshela got hurt, tell me. I do not understand why Tyler Wade's coming into that game for defense for Gio Urshela. It can't happen. He's a Gold Glover, or should be. Sanchez sucks. Was never a professional catcher. Stand up and put on attack. Again, horrendous stuff. Well, first, Major League Baseball has ruined the plays at the plate with the stupid rules that they put in because of one guy. Buster Posey has a horrible collision at home plate and gets his legs ripped up, and now we can't block the plate and play baseball the way it was played for 100 years. But the Yankees have got to make moves here. Look, I don't want to spend a lot of time on the Yankees, what they need to do for next season. But let's just concentrate on this season because it's related. I'm sitting Sanchez I just am. I'll play Higgy behind the plate and take my chances. Sanchez comes up with a big home run here and there, whatever. His defense kills the team. I'm playing Rizzo most of the time at first base. He's not hitting great either, but what he brings in leadership and solidifying that infield defense is very valuable. I'm playing DJ at second. I'm playing Wade and Velasquez at shortstop. Gio at third. Gallo may sit. And I'll play some combination of Gardy, Judge, Stanton in the outfield when he can, get his old bones going for his brittle bones going for 2 days in a row in the outfield. And we'll play some of the kids. Get Allen in there. This team, when they had an influx of energy when some of these kids came up from the minor leagues. And Wade got to play more. Wade's a nice player. Can he play every day and carry a team? No. But until we get a regular shortstop next year, Fisk took a harder one. Yeah, you know what? Yes. And Kenny, you caught. You get a hit when you're a catcher. That's what happens. Injuries happen in sports. Teach guys how to slide right. And you look at running over catchers who are blocking to play them a part of the game forever, and guys will get hurt. Well, a big star, Buster Posey was a big star when he got hurt. And that's what caused the rule change. Nonsense. Let me move on so we can, because we're going to spend some time on the NFL. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on baseball today. I don't want to ignore it, obviously, because we're still in the middle of these races. Back to the National League, the Braves, Drew's right. There could be a change there. There's still quite a few games left, but look at, I think the Braves are still the class of that division. I thought that all along. They've been very up and down, as has everybody. The Phillies, the Mets. Teams that have been up and down are the Marlins and the Washington. They've only been down. The Brewers are 13 games clear. And the Dodgers, I guess the Dodgers and Giants could still, that could still swing either way. The Giants now have taken control again after the Dodgers had moved into a flat-out try. That's the name of the position, as Kenny talks about. When you're catching the tools of ignorance, right? You're going to get beat up. I hate it when we try to legislate injuries out of sports. We just ruin the sports. Anyway, the Giants and the Dodgers were the two best records in baseball. So if we look at the wild card standings in the National League, we've got the Dodgers with the first spot. The Padres, who have had a bit of a resurgence. Well, they lost their last two, as I say that. They have kind of gone. They're not in a flat-footed tie, but they are in a tie with the Reds for the last. Mike Bell's done a great job with the Reds, no? But they moved back into a tie. They're a percentage point ahead of the Reds at this point. They've got that game in hand in the loss column, which is very important. And you got the Cardinals all of a sudden lurking only 2 games back. You got the Phillies only 2.5 games back. The Mets only 4 games back. I don't see them making a move. So let's just say, but if I'm going to say you got 5 teams in play in the American League, I got to say you got 6 teams in play for 2 spots in the National League. Well, really 1 spot. Sorry, 6 teams for 1 spot, because the Dodgers or the Giants will easily get the first one. Well, whoever gets hot these last couple of weeks, that's going to determine it, right? Padres have got an advantage in talent over all of these teams. Tingler might be in trouble if this Padres team doesn't even make the playoffs. Tingler, the manager, may get fired. What do we got here? Giants are still flying, but the Washington trade is certainly keeping the Dodgers in it. You know what? I'm glad you brought that point up. In fact, that's a note I couldn't read on my list here, Drew. Thank you for saying that. I sometimes scribble something at the last minute and I can't remember what the hell it was. I think it's possible Matt Scherzer is the best trade deadline move in the history of baseball. You guys can maybe come up with some other instances. Cespedes for the Mets the year they went to the World Series against Kansas City. Obviously, a great move at the deadline. There's been a lot of great moves through the years. Been a lot of bad moves through the years, but I can't remember one that's affected a team as much as the Dodgers. The Dodgers took off at the point of this trade. Now they also got Trey Turner, which didn't hurt either. But Max Scherzer is just a bulldog on the mound. The man refuses to lose. I love the way he pitches. We don't have enough guys like Matt Scherzer. I talk about this every week. We don't have enough Matt Scherzers and Garrett Coles and Jacob deGroms, guys who just won't give up the baseball. Carlos is here. Hello, Carlos. How are you? Giants will get stronger. I'll tell you what. One thing that's impressive about the Giants, I've said this all summer, we're waiting for the Giants to falter, Well, the Dodgers made their run at them. The Dodgers caught them. The Giants faltered, and the Giants had a resurgence. They dealt with that very, very well. Braves keep losing. Look at somebody's always losing. That division, Drew talked about treading water. That's the treading water division over there. Phillies don't wake up. Again, same comment. And what's this one? Oh, God, please. Chapman. No, I'm not dismissing Trey Turner at all, to be honest with you, Drew. But I think the Max Scherzer part of it has been the key. The Dodgers had some pitching issues. Two things. One of the reasons I think it's a great trade is, number one, they kept them from going to the Padres. You can't dismiss that. I mean, at 3:00 that day, Scherzer was going to the Padres. At 4:00, the Dodgers have Scherzer and Turner. Padre fans had to be, what the hell's going on here? But good move. Carlos, you're supposed to say good morning before all those comments. Good morning, Carlos. Good to have you here. The Giants team is young and very well coached. It's funny. The Giants are a young team. Well, no. They're a mixture of young and very old. Brandon Crawford, not a kid, having a great season. Buster Posey, not a kid, having a great season. Evan Longoria, not a youngster, has had a good season and a big impact on their winning. Brandon Belt. All of these guys have been key contributors, but not youngsters. They do have a lot of youngsters, though. Gausman, the pitcher, who started to falter a little bit here late season. I think I don't know that it's that young, but I think it's a mixture at worst, and well coached. Yes, to my shock. And probably anybody who's a Philly fan that wants to comment can say Gabe Kapler. There we go. Still can't believe Kapler's doing all that. I can't either. They couldn't wait to get him out of Philadelphia. He does some more unorthodox things, but now it's working, and maybe it was just a matter of personnel for his unorthodox ways to work. Didn't change my banner. Not surprising. Where is the whatever? There we go. Major League Baseball races and news. So you got 6 teams in play for 5. Let me go back to the Reds, too. We talked about Kapler. The Reds are at least a year ahead of where they should have been. They've had a little falter. They're 4-6 in their last 10. But I think what Mike Bell has done there, especially with the season that Castillo got off to, their number one pitcher, the Yankees were after him all spring, all winter. He has done a tremendous job. I think the manager of the year in the National League is Craig Counsell, but Kapler's probably going to win it. Don't discount Mike Bell in that race either. Yeah, the mixture helps the Giants. That's a good line. I know Carlos, that is directed at you. Carlos has complimented a manager or coach here or there. Not many. but he's consistent. So we found a guy he likes, Gabe Kapler. So you got to be unorthodox and out of the box, think outside the box, which I don't. I'm okay with that. And he's not managing my team. So next year when, the Giants fall backwards, we'll see what happens. 20 games left to see who gets in the playoffs for the leaders to set themselves up for success. That's the key. You know something, Drew? I'll be honest with you. I sit and I watch the Yankees and Mets play and especially after watching a game in person Monday. I mean, there's no life in this Yankee team. A little bit last night coming back a couple of times, I think. But the Yankees make the playoffs. I don't see them doing much, even if they get by the one game playoff. If they get there, I don't see them doing much. This is not a playoff hardened team. That they don't do well in the playoffs. They're not built well to do well in the playoffs for all the reasons I've talked about. The bad defense at shortstop and catcher. The lack of depth in the outfield. The holes in everybody's bats when you face top-notch pitching. Oh, just to qualify, Carlos doesn't like Kapler. No, you are approving of the job he's doing, which I think is still validates Rick's point. Just my opinion, Carlos. 20 games to get ready for the playoffs. Who do I think, but again, you need some momentum going in. Red Sox aren't going to have a ton. Well, you got 20 games to build momentum, right? But as you've seen with the Yankees, you can build momentum for the next 20 games, and then it's gone in a day. So a team that gets hot going in, like Drew mentioned the Mariners being hot earlier, they could do some damage in the first round. Again, a team that's ahead of schedule. This team wasn't expected to contend until at least next year. The National League, the team that can maybe give the Dodgers or the Giants some trouble would be the Brewers, just because of the pitching. But I don't know if they can score enough runs. So we'll see. Can you imagine if the playoffs in baseball were one and done? No. I mean, I'm glad that wild card is, because I don't care if I have another series, to be honest with you. And again, I talked about the Major League Baseball talking about doing away with the 7-inning doubleheaders, doing away with the runner on second base to start extra innings next year. Thank you, because all you've done is change the entire game when you do things like this. But you're probably going to have a universal DH next year. I know some people don't think that's a bad thing. I'm a Yankee fan. I prefer National League Baseball. Some people don't want to watch automatic outs. I like the strategy in the National League better. But the biggest thing I'm worried about is they're already talking now about going back to the expanded playoffs. I don't need another layer of playoff teams in the league. Last year I got it. It isn't about pulling the right strings. What is it about, Kenny? I mean, that's part of it. It's just a term. When a manager's on fire, it's because he made the right moves at the right time, right? And the players played well, don't get me wrong. I mean, if the players don't play, it doesn't matter what strings you pull. Brewers pickup of Escobar provides nice power and bat. Yeah, yes. And Kane has played better. I just thought they needed to pick up one more bat for that lineup. So it'll be an interesting run, as Drew said, for these 20 games through the playoffs. And I think that these 20 games are huge for Brett, from a local level. And Drew, you can certainly comment on this. I think, and Carlos, of course, I know you will comment on this. I just happen to think, did Rick say get baseball out of the way? Just happened to hit me. These 20 games are huge to the Mets and Yankees and Rojas and Boone. I think both managers are in big trouble. Because at best, and I don't think Rojas should be in trouble. I don't know that the Mets should have been thinking about contending this year anyway. But Aaron Boone, I've seen enough of. I really have. I don't dislike Aaron Boone, but the lack of fire on this team, the lack of fundamentals on this team is disturbing. And I think him and Cashman both have to go. I love the job Cashman's done in this organization since the early mid-90s, after Bob Watson retired. But you can't have a team this, and Cashman's put a bad team together for Boone, but Boone's done nothing to make it better. Forget the it. You're confusing me more. I would agree with that comment. I think Boone's in more trouble than Rojas, but I think if the Mets were to bottom out here, and maybe if they don't even finish over 500, he could be in trouble, just because some of the things have gone there. I hope not, Carlos. You may be right. Again, this isn't the George Steinbrenner years, and Yankees are much more loyal to their managers than they were in the past. But Aaron Boone, again, Aaron Boone's not a bad manager, but he's been a bad manager this year. Cashman gave him a bad hand to play with, and he made it worse. They should combine hockey and baseball. I don't. Both teams get a COVID year pass? That last year was a COVID year. How many COVID years are there going to be? Everybody played under the same rules. Everybody had the same issues. There were stands. There were players in the stands. I just can't do it. I can't do it. And how do I know if there's COVID issues? That's not the manager's fault as well, by the way. Manage your people to stay safe. A good point. Drew does make a good point. I mean, Rojas lost his ace. And the injuries do mitigate his results a lot. There were a lot of injuries, but again, Yankees had a lot of injuries. Not as devastating as losing DeGrom for probably half the season, I guess, at this point. I still say the Mets should have shut them down for a month when he first had arm trouble, and you might have had him back by now. We don't know that, but we think we could have. Carlos, go to college. For what? We both had terrible rosters issues. I don't know why he wants Carlos to go to college. I don't know what that's about. Mets had injuries that were terrible. Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that. But again, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think Steve Cohen is going to be a very patient guy. I just don't think he is. I think Steve Cohen's in this to win. I think he's more like George Steinbrenner circa 1976 than he is. I don't know who's a loyal manager. Hal Steinbrenner in circa 2020. I think he's much closer to George than he is Hal. And if a big name comes available, what did he win, by the way? He's a game under 500. Oh, for COVID the extra year, I gotcha. You know, there's seventh year seniors playing in some cases in college. Mets need to get their GM position settled. Well, maybe they got to hire one without. Look, I don't want to get into it. Mets need to do some due diligence with people, I think. As far as I know, Sandy Allerson's had no contact with his GM since this incident happened. So, all right, guys, let's do this. Let's jump into the NFL. I'll do because I want to make sure we have plenty of time for this. And if college has got to take a back seat, it will, because I do have a college football show that we're going to do, obviously, weekly college football TGI Sports Talks College Football Huddle on Wednesdays has been very popular. We've been very well received by the college groups and other groups, and I know Rick has been there a few nights, and Dave's been there a few nights, and any of you other guys who are interested in college football, we have a lot of fun. So, where am I? That's college football. I know I got a banner here. There we go. All right, let's talk about a couple of things in professional football. Let me check my comments. Anything left on baseball here? Every year, okay. We'll talk about that. You know, you're right. Wasn't Jackson State? Was it Jacksonville State they lost to? Actually, Jackson State is where Deion Sanders is coaching. So it's Jacksonville State, but your point is still correct. We'll get to that in a bit. Crowder's out for the Jets. Yep, big move, big inch. I don't like them in this game at all today. We'll get to college football. I just want to make sure we got enough time to do our picks and stuff. So we'll have time to spend on college football before Mark Mancini comes on. We're going to talk a little bit college football with him anyway. Barkley's still questionable. He did get the okay to play. The news in the Post today was that he's cleared to play today. How much he'll play, I think, is very much up in doubt, or in doubt. And you know what? The Giants are a mess. Their offensive line is a mess. Daniel Jones, in a key year for him and this offense, and their offensive line is not ready to protect the quarterback or to open holes for the running back, the franchise running back that is coming back from a major injury. Interesting point this week, too, about the Giants and Ravens. Again, it seems to come from credible sources that they were in discussions about the Ravens trading for Saquon Barkley. I mean, the Ravens have been decimated by injuries. I got in the fantasy football pool for the first time in quite a while with the Let's Talk Sports group that Dan Harris runs. I do co-host a show with Dan Harris on Fridays at 2 p.m., but you can catch it anytime on Northeast Streaming Sports. It's a lot of fun. We talk about New York sports, and Dan has a wealth of knowledge. But I got in his fantasy league, and Dobbins was one of my key guys, and guess what? Gone for the year. These guys got to start hitting. You can't tell me that one of the reasons these star players get hurt all the time, and the Players Union negotiated this into the contract quite a while ago, that limits the hitting both in preseason, training camp, OTAs, and once the season starts, they won't hit at all. So the only time you get hit is when you're playing a game and a guy's coming at you at full speed like a missile, and you've built up no tolerance to those types of hits. And you can't tell me that doesn't play into the injury issues that the NFL has. Drew's got to go. Have a great day. Have a great football day, Drew. Good luck to your I think you're a Jet fan. Only one guy picked the Cowboys. I still lost. Oh, yeah, right, because I've got the spreads in my pool. We all lost then. That's good. Lamar Jackson will prove everybody wrong and be a top 10 passing yards. I don't know who he's proven wrong. He passed for a lot of yards last year. I do think the league will figure out Lamar Jackson a bit. I think they have figured him out a little bit, but yeah, Mickey Delaney got it right. I thought, yeah, he said one guy. It must have been Mickey that picked it. Lamar Jackson gets slack for well, yeah. He does get flack for that, Carlos, and he should. I mean, look he played twice. He's played bad in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Don't forget how bad he played 2 years ago against Titans. What else did I miss here? And you missed a Thursday game, Rick. You didn't put your pick in? Billy's, I don't know. Billy, who I guess isn't with us. Billy's traveling. Is still not in the league, so I guess he's going to give us at least a 1 week head start, and he's giving you guys a much better shot at that $100 gift card. It's called the Brady era, as it should be. Ravens picked up Latavius Murray. That ought to turn their season around. I did try to grab him on waivers, and I missed him. What other news we got to talk about in the NFL? Not much. I said Barkley's cleared to play. I don't know how much he's going to play. Let's go to let me just check something out here. Yeah, I do have to say, look at this whole Deshaun Watson thing. How ridiculous. How ridiculous does the NFL look and the Ravens look in this whole thing, that he's still on that roster, that they still think they're going to get something for him, by the way. I mean, they're still looking for what I see this morning, 6 picks. Oh, sorry, that's about Mick Tinglehoff. We're going to talk about Mick Tinglehoff real quick in a little bit, too, by the way. Rick, for your I'm trying to get through some injury stuff here, but I can't. Damn it, I just had. Here it is. They still want 6 players or draft picks for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's never playing in the NFL again, guys. He's just not. Carlos says Houston should be banned. You know, bringing the guy into camp and just having him stand around, what? I don't get the point. I don't get the point. And where do they think they're going to get 6 players or picks for this guy who's never going to play in the NFL again? Mark my words. He's never going to play in the NFL. Unless this stuff is proved to be totally false, he's never playing in the NFL again. Yeah, there's a lot of places to go, but it's still a story that I need to talk about. And we're not going to spend much more time on it. I can promise you that. Because to me, guys like Deshaun Watson don't belong in the NFL. Okay, innocent until proven guilty, but all these cases don't come out if there's not some fire burning with this smoke. And if he's guilty, the same way I felt about Domingo German with the Yankees, I don't want him on my team. Just don't want him on my team. Agreed. So let's move on from Deshaun Watson. Let's get into the games, because somebody brought up Richie Cognito, and I was going to talk about this when we get to the Raiders game, but Cognito's out. I believe the Raiders are playing an entirely new offensive line today, so don't be looking for much out of the Raiders today. I can tell you right now. That leadership used that information against Sean. It's just, I don't know. You can go a lot of ways, as Kenny said, and we're not going to go down that road. I only bring it up because I think they're nuts to think they can. First of all, you can't trade this guy while this stuff's hanging over his head. The NFL doesn't want to do anything. They put it on Houston. Houston waits for the NFL to do something. They should have put the guy on administrative leave like they did with Bauer, the Dodgers. That would have been a smart thing to do. But they didn't. Let's get into the games, guys, because that's what I'm excited about. Week 1 of the NFL. We started Thursday night with where's my picks? Where's my little notes page on picks? There we go. All right. Let's see. I'm probably not going to go in the right order, but what a great game, by the way. Kenny's being quiet. I don't want to get you banned from Facebook, Kenny, so we'll move on. Raiders car in trouble. We can't run or throw. Look at that. I'm going to tell you right now, I said it for a while. I don't care how many years Gruden's got left on his contract, John Gruden's in a lot of trouble in Vegas. Biggest game, Chargers versus Washington. It's a big game. I like that game a lot, but I don't know that it's a game that I'm going to say is the best game. I think the Browns and Cleveland, or I'm sorry, the Browns and Chiefs might be the best game of the day. All right, so we're not going to go straight down our list here, and I may change my pick on my ESPN thing on a couple of times because I did fill this out earlier. Obviously, we had the Thursday night game with the Bucks and the Cowboys. Good game. I think we learned a little bit about the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys played well. I think Dak played well. I was surprised, given that he hadn't thrown at all or thrown very little in camp and played none. But the Bucks are good. The Bucks are the Super Bowl champion. The Bucks bring everybody back, all 22 starters. That doesn't happen today, guys. It just doesn't happen. So, and bear with me because I got to toggle back and forth here so I can see my. Should have brought it up on a different screen. So anyway, nice win for the Bucks to start the season. Not surprised. This team is probably going to be better than they were last year because they struggled during the regular season. They got to know each other. Bruce Arians and Brady had to get on the same page. Well, they're all on the same page now. And the Cowboys defense left a lot to be desired. I mean, they made Gronk look like 6 years ago. They made him look quick. But that being said, let's move on. Let's look at, we'll go right down the list on ESPN just so it's easy. Eagles visit the Falcons. This is not a game I can get excited about, guys. You've got Jalen Hurts, who's unproven at quarterback for the Eagles. You've got a veteran quarterback in Matt Ryan, but lost one of his key weapons in Julio Jones. Added who I think will be the NFL Rookie of the Year and will be the most impactful player in that top 10 of that draft in Kyle Pitts. And I just think that and you also I've got two new head coaches here as well, by the way, in Smith and Sirianni. So this is an interesting matchup. Matty Ryan, if he plays turnover-free football, I think the Falcons should win this game and win it fairly easily. Calvin Ridley is a star in the making, and so is Kyle Pitts. And I think that the Eagles are going to have a tough time today. How come that didn't come up that I had a comment? Cowboys suck. How come you get 5 points for picking the winner straight up? It's just the way ESPN works. It's 10 because I can't set it's a free league. If I want to pay, then I can change it, right? Otherwise, I got to go to the default settings that ESPN has to answer that question. And it would also make it more difficult to kind of review things when we try to do the review section of this. Lawrence and the Cowboys played hard. Too bad that the 5 players short. I agree. Pitts will be Rookie of the Year. Okay, good. Anyway, I like the Falcons here, and we'll move on to the next game. The Steelers and the Bills. Look at Steeler fans. Your team's in trouble. Your team's in huge trouble. Your quarterback, have more mobility at 61 years old and rheumatoid arthritis and anything else you want to mention a 61-year-old guy would have. And I think we weigh about the same, Roethlisberger and I. The Bills are going to have their way with him. I do think Najee Harris will probably put up a 100-yard game today. I think he is a great pick for the Steelers, but I think the Bills have too much. I think the Bills are the second best team in the AFC to the Chiefs. I do think the Patriots will improve through the course of the year, but they will not even challenge the Bills for the Eastern Division title. They'll be challenging for a playoff spot, and they'll be dangerous when we get there. But this team is too good. Josh Allen gets better every year, and Ben Roethlisberger is just a shell of himself. The interesting thing to me is to see how well the Buffalo has improved that defense. And I will take Buffalo in a. I don't even think it's going to be close. Well, it's possible. Homemade breakfast pizza today. Nice. Steelers play their Super Bowl today. Well, that's a good point. Kenny, going back to the Cowboy, I don't understand. I just don't get that comment. I mean, sorry, this is my problem when I'm toggling back and forth. I took myself out of the street. Did you watch him play? Come on, he played really well, especially for not having played in preseason and barely threw the ball in preseason, even in camp. So I don't think we can say he stinks. Vikings at the Bengals. This is an interesting matchup to me. I know Rick's a big Vikings fan. I'm a little concerned about the Vikings this year. This is 3.5 points. They're favored on the road. The Bengals are going to be better this year with Joe Burrow healthy, assuming he stays healthy, and Chase, if he holds on to the football, which he's had a little bit of trouble doing in the preseason. I just think they're greatly improved here, and I think this will be a close game. I think it's possible the Vikings will pull it out on the road, but I don't think they'll win by 3.5. And I think Mike Zimmer is possibly going to be in some trouble there, and it's not his fault. It's going to depend on how that. Let me get this down here. If his defense plays better, he'll probably save his job. If Kirk Cousins doesn't play better, he could cost him his job. They got probably the best running back in the league in my mind in Cook, but I just think this is a tough. There's some tough games this week. When you get to my survivor pool, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I really don't. So I'm with the Bengals getting the 3.5 at home here. And don't forget to get your picks in, guys, if you haven't gotten them in yet, because we'll review some of that next week. We'll be sure to make some time. I got something else I got to mention to you guys at some point, too. So the next game I got is this Niners at the Lions. To me, this one's easy. The spread's 7.5 on the road. 49ers are coming east to play. I don't always like that type of thing, but the Lions are terrible. The Lions are awful. Jared Goff is a step down from Matt Stafford, who I'm not a big fan of. He's a nice quarterback. Not a big fan of what he's going to do for the Rams, but they just don't have any skill position players around them. This team's going to win 2 games. And I think the Niners will win this one for fun. They're going to have some interesting decisions to make at quarterback. Jimmy G will start. There's talk that they're going to use Trey Lance in the same kind of role that the Saints use Taysom Hill. And we'll see. Bengals will be as good as the Jets. I'm assuming that's bad, Carlos, but we'll see. I'm not saying they're going to compete for a playoff position. I'm saying they're going to be better. Again, if I'm a Jets fan, I should be focusing on getting better, not how many wins I have, not my quarterback stats, that he's competitive and they're competitive. And I think the Bengals will be in that same book. So I guess we agree based on that conversation. What's Dak done? Dak, I can't go backwards. He leads the team in wins. Passing overall in the same stats as Romo. He'll be the guy in the Super Bowl Ravens and Cameron. That's Trent Dilfer. And his numbers are lights out over Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer got on a team that had one of the best defenses in the history of football. And Dallas still doesn't have a good defense. That's why they're not winning more games. One of the main reasons. Anyway, next game. Cardinals at the Titans. This is a tough one. I like the Cardinals to be one of the surprise teams in the league this year. I really do. There's another one I'll talk about here in a second. But I think that this game is, if the Arizona wasn't coming east, I would love it. If this game was in Arizona, I would love Arizona. And I'm going to take Arizona plus the 2.5 against Tennessee. I know Tennessee can run the football. I know Arizona's defense is suspect, but I really, really like the Cardinals, and I think they're going to take a big step forward this year, and I'm going to stick with that. I didn't say he had won, Kenny. I said he's been strapped by a bad defense. Trent Dilfer won because of a defense, not because he played good quarterback or was better than Dak Prescott. I can't even make that comparison. Oh gosh. Saints play Jacksonville at home. That might be better for Saints, not fans. Not sure what that's about, but we'll move on. So I am taking Arizona over the Titans. Seattle at the Colts. You know, another really good game. It's tough for Survivor Pool week. I'm telling you, week one, there's going to be a lot of people go out, I'm afraid. Oh, I see Packers are playing. No, Packers are playing. I don't know what he's talking about right now. Oh, I see. It's in Jacksonville. Now I get your point, Carlos. We'll get to that game in a second. Seahawks are going to be at the Colts. I'm not sure about Carson Wentz's status here. I like Carson Wentz to rebound big time against or with Frank Reich helping him out again and being his head coach and getting his game back to where it was when he first came into the league. Love Carson Wentz's potential. I would have been okay if the Patriots had made a trade for Carson Wentz, in fact. Now he's been hurt in preseason. I think he's playing today. I'm not positive. If he does, I love Indianapolis here. Their running game is really good. Seattle is a one-man show with Russell Wilson, and he's a great player. He's a great player, but I just don't like it. Seahawks will win. Okay. Fair enough. To me, that game's a toss-up. So here's a game that Carlos thought was the game of the week, and I do like it as well. Chargers at the Redskins. Two teams. Chargers are a team to be reckoned with here in the AFC. They're not going to win the division. They're not going to beat the Chiefs. But similar to the Patriots, I see this team improving week by week. And hey, Herbert's got a year under his belt, which he might not have had if it wasn't for a wayward needle to Tyrod Taylor's lung. So we'll see what happens there. I like Washington here just because Washington, I think, has the elite defense in football. They've added some really good skill position players to surround Fitzpatrick, who I think will be the early season starter and finally get overtaken by Heineke later in the year. But I think the Washington Redskins win. Redskins. First time today, Washington football team win this game. And I also think they win the Eastern Division of the Eastern Division of the NFC. I really do. Next up, see if we got any other comments here before I move on. ESPN says White's okay. That's good. That's good news for Colts fans. I think Colts run the ball like so good that they're going to win. I think they're going to win that division over what's that other team? Tennessee. What are we moving on to here? Jets and Panthers. I love the Panthers -4.5. Jets. Look at the Jets defense is still not that good. Wilson's played well. The Jets are going to win some games. Great matchup, sense of humor, whatever you want to call it, from the NFL to match these two teams up in week one. Sam Darnold, I do think, is primed to have a resurgence in his career, working with not just Matt Rule, who I think is one of the young coaches on the come, a college coach who will do well in the NFL. But he also, Joe Brady is his offensive coordinator, who is a really, really good coordinator. And if McCaffrey stays healthy on this team and they can run the ball, and he also catches a lot of passes, Carolina is going to compete for a playoff position, a wild card in the NFC. I really believe that. Eckler's out for San Diego for in that Washington game. That's a good call, Carlos. So again, another plus for Washington there. I am all over Carolina in this Jet Carolina game. Jet fans, sorry again. Don't get excited don't get worked up if your team struggles early. Not that big a deal. They just need to be competitive. They're going to win 4 or 5 games. That's it. Jacksonville at the Texans. Jacksonville's still got a long ways to go. Carlos mentioned Lawrence is playing well, but they're still players short. I don't think it's going to be a long time before this is a really good football team. Urban Meyer, again, a guy I think can make that jump successfully from college to the pros. He's not going to be there forever, man. He doesn't stay places a long time. He's going to be there 5 years, assuming they win. Losing Antonin really hurt this team, but they got to be good enough to beat this Texans team, which, believe it or not, I would say I'll make a bold prediction that they don't win a game. Before I move on, any comments? I got to go back and forth. I got to figure out a different way to do this next week. That young defense of the Panthers is going to wreck that quarterback. That's a good call. I don't know if they'll wreck them, but the offensive line, the Jets, if they have a weakness on offense, it is that line is not very deep. Sort of like the Patriots, 4 or 5 wins. You want to make a bet, Kenny, similar to what I made with Carlos? I'll be happy to do it. This team will win 9 or 10 games and compete for a wild card. They'll struggle early. I can see them win 4 games. I can see them being 4-3 after 7 games. I thought Elliott was on track to bounce back in fantasy. Well, you know what? I wouldn't call him a POS, Rick. They gave him the ball 11 times. 11 times. Another problem with the Cowboys, it's not Dak Prescott's fault, is the play calling is atrocious. 11 times? Zeke Elliott gets the ball? Wrong. Bad calls, man. Let's move on to our next game. We got to be getting near the end here. I don't know. Where are we? Marquee game for me, Chiefs and Browns. Everybody's all over the Browns. I love the Browns. The Browns played well last year. Baker Mayfield maybe looked bad. I kept saying all year long I didn't believe in him. He played well. He played well in the playoffs. And except for a silly rule, they may well have beaten the Bills and gone to the AFC Championship game where they would have lost to Kansas City. But I see Kansas City bouncing back big time. I see them laying this 5.5 and having a very successful opening week here. I like them a lot, and I think this may be a high-scoring game. I don't think that's going too far out on a limb. Same comment. Okay. You guys can feel free to add your comments about who you like. We don't have to, we're not going to write them down like we did last year. That's a time saver for us having the pool. And plus you get a chance to win $100. Still get your friends and family in, guys. Carlos benched Amari Cooper. Thought Lamb and Gallup would play better. He missed out on a lot of points. You did. I got a lot of points in that game because I got Godwin and Antonio Brown. And it's a good thing because my number 1 running back, Dobbins, is done, as I said. So the other game of the day, the New England Patriots hosting the Miami Dolphins. I talked about this game on Mac and Jack this morning quickly with Jim Jeffcoat was their co-host, a former Dallas Cowboy. Great. Look, this is a matchup of me. To me, it is the Patriots keeping it simple for Mac Jones. not falling behind where they need him to win the game for him. But this is Belichick against Tua, and I think it's a mismatch. The Patriots' front seven is much, much better. They're going to stop the run or play the run much better than they – and the Dolphins have a good running game, by the way. And I just don't think Tua is ready for that matchup with the Patriots. And I will take the Patriots in this game, which you probably will not see me pick against them a whole lot. Let's putt with a hockey stick. Evans was a ghost in that game, by the way, Thursday night. Rick had Brady on the bench and started Wilson, so don't feel bad for Carl. Well, you know what Wilson's going to do today? He could have as good a numbers plus a couple rushing touchdowns, Rick. Right? Don't count yourself out yet. I want to get to some college. We got to get moving here. Packers at the Saints. This is a tough game. I don't like the Saints at all. I got to take the Packers as much as I hate to, because I think I want them to struggle this year just because Aaron Rodgers, you can use the POS moniker here, Rick. I just think this guy is selfish. I think he complains. He's a crybaby about the team getting better around him when he doesn't do anything in his power to help that happen by renegotiating his contract, doing anything to help the team get better. So swan song for Green Bay this year. And I think that'll be it for Green Bay for a while. Love is not looking like the heir apparent. We'll see. I will take Green Bay in this game. Denver at the Giants. God, I don't even want to watch this game. Daniel Jones is in big trouble. Von Miller might be in his face all day long. That offensive line is a sieve. Unless the Giants find a way to fix that problem, their season will be a disaster. Daniel Jones, in a key year for him, if he wants to be the quarterback of the future, is in big trouble. And Saquon Barkley's health could be in big trouble when he does play, which is one reason he may be limited a bit here. It's only the only time rooting for the Saints. You're right, but I can't say Jameson Winston is going to be able to. Green Bay doesn't have a bad defense in my mind, and I think they will. I think they'll do well here. What do we got left? 2 games. Good. Bears at the Rams. I like the Rams in this game a lot, but overall, I don't like the Matthew Stafford pickup. I don't think he's going to lead this team to the promised land. I think he's going to lead McVay possibly to the unemployment line. It's possible. This is a very tough division, and I don't think Matthew Stafford is a guy to take him over the hump. Now, I know he played with the Lions, but he's been in the playoffs, and he's never won a playoff game. He played with one of the greatest wide receivers in the history of football and never got a playoff win. Not all his fault, but I think Matthew Stafford is not one of the elite quarterbacks in football, and I don't hold him in high regard, obviously, that Sean McVay does. LaFleur is bad at Tennessee and already blowing it at Green Bay. I'll give him a pass. Again, Stafford is better than Goff. Well, I can't argue that point, Kenny. I cannot argue that point at all. But is he an elite quarterback in the NFL? He is not. He's in the second tier at best. A nice player. The numbers always look good. And he's played for some bad teams. I'll give him that. But again, I just don't think he's the guy to get the Rams over the hump. But I do like the Rams today, -6.5. Because the Bears, Matt Nagy's got to go. Matt Nagy has got to go. To give him the keys to another franchise quarterback in Justin Fields after what he did with Mitchell Trubisky, who I still think has NFL talent, is ridiculous. All right, I'm going to move on to the last game of the night, of the day. I know he played for a horrible team. He put his Stafford and Goff are the same. They're not the same quarterback. Their games are completely different. Matt Nagy is the head coach of I think it's Matt Nagy. Did I say his name wrong? I know it's Nagy. Charles Nagy was a pitcher for the Indians years ago. Matt Nagy's a coach of the Bears. No? Horrible coach. Can't give him the keys to another football. If I said his name wrong, I apologize. Let's move on so we can finish this up. I have got – oops, I lost my picks. Who was the last game? The Raiders, right? Who are the Raiders playing? Raiders and Ravens. Ravens decimated, man. Decimated at running back. They still have Lamar Jackson, who's one of the great weapons in football, especially at least in the regular season. And I think he'll continue his hot starts. He usually has hot starts in the season, even out a running game. The Raiders are a mess. Excuse me. The Raiders are an awful mess. And I just don't see them. I just don't see them moving forward. And I think, as I said, that Gruden's in trouble. I really do. We'll all see. Well, I am an armchair quarterback. If I wasn't, I'd be out there playing. Mac. What Mac? No. Oh, Khalil Mack. By the way, Khalil Mack's back and healthy, so the Bears may have a better defense. So, all right, guys, let's move on quick. Last chance for comments. I've only got a few minutes before Mark Mancini from Mancini Sports joins me. Let's talk a little college football. Let's look at the top 25 yesterday. Biggest game of the day, Oregon goes into the horseshoe and gets beat. Need a minor league for. All right, let's move on. Oregon at Oregon State, or Oregon at Ohio State. Look at, even without Thibodeau, who's going to be likely the number one pick in the draft. A very good chance to be the number one pick in the draft. He's that good a pass rusher. Even without him, Oregon harasses C.J. Stroud all day. C.J. Stroud had a good game, he threw for 484 yards and 3 touchdowns. But part of that is a product of being behind the entire game. Oregon ran the ball at will. Marco Cristobal is a great coach. And Oregon, the Pac-12 now has got 2 pretty good wins in 2 weeks, where they haven't had big wins over non-conference opponents in a long time. Oh, yeah, but I can't get excited about who they played last week. Let's wait till they play a good team, Rick. Oregon, Clemson put up a bunch of points yesterday too, which we'll get to in a second. NBC didn't cut Notre Dame. They moved them to the Peacock app. It was a deal. And they struggled against Toledo, obviously. Anyway, let me run down from top to bottom here on my scoreboard just so I don't lose track, okay? Coastal Carolina just destroys Kansas. Kansas is terrible. Coastal Carolina off to another 2-0 start. That league is pretty good. Appalachian State gave Miami all they could handle last night. I know Miami's got some issues, but tough go of it for Miami and these teams playing these. Trying to think of the league now. The Sun Belt teams. Alabama rolls over Mercer. Big deal. 56. They did give up 7 points, by the way, Rick. Just an FYI to UAB. Not a good football team. So, congratulations to Oregon. I'm sorry, to Georgia on putting up some points. Nice game for Pittsburgh and Tennessee yesterday. I kind of liked Tennessee. I didn't bet them yesterday. I bet, just so you guys know, I bet Arkansas against Texas, which was a big win. They were an underdog at home. I bet earlier Rutgers over Syracuse, which didn't look like anybody was going to score forever. And Iowa State broke my streak at 8 in a row by losing to Iowa. I had Iowa State -4 yesterday. Thought Tennessee was good. I thought they'd win this game, though. Playing at home, this would have been a nice win for Tennessee in turning that program around. Oklahoma wins 76-0 over Western Carolina. Nobody cares. Texas A&M struggles mightily in Colorado, wins just 10-7, and had to come from behind in the fourth quarter to do that. Clemson, to your point, Rick, 49 points against South Carolina State. Only gave up 3. So are those teams out of the race? Don't know. Or is Clemson out of the race? I don't know. Is Ohio State out of the race after one loss? I don't know. I don't know how Carlos's Middle Tennessee team did yesterday. I haven't seen that score yet, actually. Notre Dame struggles mightily, Kenny. Sorry. And probably gets moved off of NBC because of they're only playing Toledo. You could have watched that game if you have the Peacock app, by the way. I watched it, which I believe I watched a free. I don't pay for the Peacock Plus, so I was able to watch it on the Peacock app. But they struggled. They were behind with 1:12 left. Notre Dame's not that good. They're going to struggle all year. They got some tough games they got to play. They got to play Cincinnati, who really played well again yesterday as well. I mentioned Iowa. Big win for Iowa over Iowa State, 27-17. The only battle of top 10 teams yesterday. No, I don't think so, Kenny. I have the free version of Peacock. I don't pay for it. And I was watching some of the Notre Dame game there yesterday. Not all of it. I'll double check it. There's 2 versions. There's a free version and there's a Peacock Plus, whatever they call it. I do not believe they put it on the Peacock Plus. If they did, that's atrocious because they're Toledo and Notre Dame. You're going to pay extra money for. Penn State rolls over Ball State. Ball State, not a horrible team, but Penn State with another nice win, 2-0. Florida rolls over South Florida, 42-20. South Florida's horrible. Stanford, 42-28 over USC. Helton's got to go. Army's impressive. Army did win yesterday. We'll see if we get time to get to that score. But Army, I love. Jeff Monken's one of the great coaches in the country. In my mind, it's a little surprised he's still at Army. But well done. Middle Tennessee lost 35-14 to Virginia Tech. Okay, thank you, Rick. Tough place to go play, as I said last week. And I did not, I didn't have a chance to play Middle Tennessee. But in a big upset, Arkansas, who I liked yesterday, getting 7 points at home, beats Texas badly, 40-21. In my mind, I don't even know it was that close. Texas was in trouble from the get-go here. Wisconsin rolls over Eastern Michigan. Oh, there's a Virginia Tech score. 35-14 over Middle Tennessee. Would have been a nice win for your Middle Tennessee team. Well, Carlos, we got to remember something. When we're talking about teams like Middle Tennessee and Liberty went and beat Virginia Tech last year. So if you want to be that team like Liberty and Coastal Carolina, they beat BYU, a good BYU team last year at home. Yeah, well, so is Liberty. I think Liberty is a independent. And Coastal Carolina plays in the Sun Belt. So again, I like that team a little bit too, but let's not excuse them away. Again, if you want to be that surprise outsider that we talked about on the College Football Huddle, Carlos, you need to win these games. This isn't Alabama. This is Virginia Tech. Who got beat by Liberty last year at home? Ole Miss rolls. Watch out for Ole Miss. Austin Peay's terrible. I get it. But Ole Miss played some decent defense last Monday against Louisville until garbage time. And their offense is going to put up tons of points, as we know. Miami squeaks by Appalachian State. Told my wife, she's like, oh, we can't lose Appalachian State. Appalachian State is a really good football team, and they could end up, depending on what happens with Cincinnati and in some of the big games that they have to play this year, they could end up the highest rated non-power 5 school at the end of the season. We'll see. They're not in the top 25 just yet. Arizona State rolls over UNLV as they should. North Carolina bounces back as they should have, 59-17 over Georgia Tech. And Auburn rolls over Alabama State, 62-0. Those teams are not going to win all those major conferences. I didn't say they were going to win all of them, but they got to look at they did last year. But there's always a team that comes. Well, first of all, the major conferences don't play them as a rule. Coastal Carolina got a chance to play BYU, who was an independent, not even in a major conference, because of an open date in the schedule. It was put together last year. See what else we got real quick before Mark Mancini joins us. Let me run through these games. Any other games you guys have interest? I like that Boise State beat up on UTEP. I know Cincinnati rolled. I think I already said that. Oklahoma 76-0 over Western Carolina. I missed that one somehow in the top 25. Clemson rolled. Cincinnati 42-7 over Murray State. Talked about Notre Dame. Talked about these games. Wisconsin over Eastern Michigan 34-7. So they bounce back from their tough game. BYU 26-17. I haven't even got a chance to talk about the changes in the Big 12. We'll talk about that next week. The Big 12 has reacted to losing Oklahoma and Texas by bringing 4 teams from my favorite league, the AAC. The American. So Carlos, don't forget, I don't love the SC or the ACC. I love the AAC. 2 different leagues. And now the AAC in 2 years is going to be decimated with the 4 best teams in that conference going to the Big 12. Cincinnati, I'm sorry, the 3 best teams. Houston isn't right now, but they have been in the past. And the big one is UCF and Cincinnati. And then BYU also going to the Big 12. Does it make up for losing Oklahoma and Texas? We'll talk a little bit to Mark Mancini about that. There's Billy Pulver live from Anaheim. Signs in the same time as Mark Mancini. I wonder if maybe Billy's staying out there on the West Coast with Mark Mancini while he's out there. I saw some wonderful shots on Billy's Facebook from the beach, which looks like it might have been Mark's beachfront property out there in California. I'm not sure. We'll ask him when we bring him in here in a second. So that's all I'm going to run through here, guys. We can talk more about this as we go through the rest of the show with Mark. Carlos says Tennessee and Georgia will be a good game. Going to push Rick's buttons just a little bit more, Carlos. Well done. All right, let's get Mark in here and move on with him. I got a hard stop at 11, guys. Got to get out of here so I can go watch some football with the boys. Mark Mancini, good morning.
There he is, brother. The show that's sweeping the country. The
Bud, I think
Sunday
you're muted.
grind, brother.
No sound from you there, buddy. Mark's working on his sound. Rick's
How's
happy
that?
the pulverizer made it. Still got no sound, Mark. You got headphones plugged in or something you don't have on your head?
Let me check.
Did you somehow mute yourself? I don't see you muted. Now I'll unmute you again. Let's see what happens here. How about now?
Hello, how are you?
Not sure what we got. We got some sound issues today. You don't have your all right, Mark's out. Well, he'll be back. So anyway, Carlos, I'll give you a chance here, Rick, to kind of respond to Carlos's wait a minute, you could hear him? Could you guys hear Mark and I couldn't? Let me turn off that. I wonder if that's having an effect. Turn that off. Maybe I got my sound down too far. Bring him in again. Let's see what happens. Carlos said he could hear you, Mark. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how are you, brother?
What? Carlos, tell me you can hear him. Double checking my end, but I was on earlier.
The show that's sweeping
And I
the
didn't have any
country.
problems. Somebody tell me if they can hear it. Go test 1, 2, 3 there,
Testing
Mark.
1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Who can hear Mark? Is it just Keith who can't hear him? Well, that'll stink. Got nothing muted here.
Testing 1,
Kenny
2,
can hear
3.
you. How
Testing
come
1,
I
2,
can't
3.
hear you? What's going on here, Mark? All right, so I've
How are
done
you?
something. Let me check my audio here. This happened to me one time before.
We'll get it.
Speaker. Let me try something. How about talking now, Mark?
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right. Well, if you can hear me, probably something wrong with my headset. I don't know. Sorry about that. Every once in a while we got technical difficulties. I had the same problem with Roy White months ago, so it must be good. You're in good company.
Yeah.
Listen, welcome to the show. Hope you guys can still hear me okay, because I did turn off I think my mic still might be on, but I'm not sure. No, actually, it wouldn't be. You'll be hearing me through the speaker or the phone on my. I see you there, buddy. All right. Anyway, Mark. Gosh, now I got to recover. Let me recover here. Get my thoughts back with me.
Yeah,
so welcome to Mark Mancini from Mancini Sports. Obviously, you're all over the place on XM Radio 203, Sirius 217, KMET 1490 AM. That's in Banning, California, I believe, right? 860. Are you live on 860 yet, or
live 860 in 2.5 weeks?
2.5 weeks. It'll be on 860 AM in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Can't get on the radio in Pittsburgh. I don't understand what's going on there, but
working on that.
Pittsburgh's like Mark's the number one Pittsburgh fan in California, at least. So anyway, Mark, how are you doing this weekend?
Man, I'm listening to this show that is sweeping the nut country, the nation, the world. I am so blessed to be a part of the Sunday grind.
Yeah, I just got to get to my technical difficulties. I have no idea why I wasn't getting any sound. I was on earlier on the Mac and Jack show to talk about the Patriot game today, and everything was fine. So anyway, it happens.
Yeah.
Now we're both
valleys, man. Oh, Carlos there.
Carlos is red hot today. What's Carlos saying here? Good morning, Mark. Everybody can hear me, I guess. All right, good. So let's jump into it here, Mark. I was finishing up the college football, so let's start there real quick. Any good takeaways? I mean, obviously a big upset at the Horseshoe yesterday with Oregon beating Ohio State and really beating them badly in my mind, because I think they manhandled them the entire game. And again, it throws another wrench into the playoff picture, which it's early to talk about, I know, but all these losses matter, especially in these big games. What stood out for you for the weekend?
Well, the Pac-12 reminds me of the good, the bad, and the ugly. When you look at the good, you see what UCLA's done. They took out an SEC team a week ago yesterday in LSU. And then we had Ed Orgeron telling the fans they're wearing sissy blue T-shirts. You had Oregon go to Ohio State yesterday and pull a shocker over there, which I thought, about time. If you beat a team 9 times, you're bound to get that, 10th win on the respirator there. And Oregon came back and beat them. The ugly was USC laying an egg. Boy, that game went late. If you were on the East Coast watching in your neck of the woods, that thing went till about 2:15 in the morning. And, USC made it close, but, Stanford had such an insurmountable lead on them that they didn't really care. It was garbage time. Starters were out. And then the other one was Washington. The big shocker there is Washington just, I don't know what happened to this football tradition program, man. They went to Michigan, didn't put much of a fight. They're looking at 0-2. So, we're going to find out, if you break up the conferences, I don't know what the hell is going on with the North in the Pac-12.
I mean, obviously Oregon is is the class there. Carlos was talking about how their offense looked like game plan from 80s OU, but that Marco Cristobal makes no apologies for running the football and playing kind of smash mouth football, and it's effective. I think it'll be effective in the Pac-12 because nobody else plays it.
Well, not only that, I think what the Pac-12 is trying to show the SEC is, hey, we know you're the bar of college football, but you know what? We're here too, and we're trying to take some teams out. I think when it all shakes down, I think the team that you got to really watch out for in the Pac-12, I know everybody's talking about Oregon now. Very, very good team. Stanford bounced back, beating a top 15 team, first time in quite a few years, and beating USC. Was pretty good in their backyard. But I'll tell you the team I like, and I know they haven't opened it up yet, but keep your eyes on Herm Edwards, Arizona State, and Daniels, man. They got something there. They took care of UNLV yesterday. I like the Sun Devils.
They're playing very good. Love Herm Edwards. Really would like to see him succeed. Let me just catch up on a couple comments here before we move on from this topic. Kenny was talking about how you can run the same play for 3 touchdowns at this level. I agree. The Ohio State defensive coaching staff has got to be able to adjust this a little bit better in game, or at least at halftime. You got to be able to do better than that. And Rick's got a comment for you, but you got to be happy about the Pitt victory.
Oh, yeah. Hey, let me tell you something, Rick. I mean, when you look at the Panthers, 285 yards, Pinkett, man. They went in there the first time in 38 years playing Tennessee down there. They beat them. This team could be easily 6-0 by the time they play Clemson.
I kind of like Tennessee in this game. I'm glad I didn't have any shekels on it yesterday. It was one of the games I was going back and forth on. And the Johnny Majors Bowl turned out to be a great game for his national championship winning team, the Pitt Panthers. So very nice win for Pitt and a good win for the ACC. The ACC needs some of these. They hadn't fared well against the SEC up until yesterday. So a nice win for an ACC team as well.
Yeah, the shocker had to be the Appalachian State almost took out the University of Miami, man. That you don't want to put Appalachian State on your schedule. Last time Appalachian State was put on somebody's schedule, you saw what that happened. David slayed Goliath years back with the Michigan Wolverines. Yeah,
that was 2007, I believe, and they nearly pulled off again. That Michigan team was in a top 5, I think, at least a top 10. They almost did it last night to Miami. I told my wife, she goes, "Oh, Appalachian State." Well, we made and watch the game, and I said, "You better. This team can come in here and win this game."
Yeah,
they're really well coached. Their special teams are really, really good. And I like their quarterback. There's just a lot to like about that team. And Miami just had enough. They had some. I think their punter actually won the game for them last night. That kid was unbelievable.
It was amazing. Some big games, coming up. Auburn, Penn State's a good one. You got the Oklahoma, Nebraska that we used to always see, on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving. That's going to be a nice one to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on the college schedule that stood out for you?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's going to be interesting to see how these polls put Ohio State. Are they going to drop? Are they going to get punished? I mean, you lose, you got to drop some notches. I saw, last year that Ohio State was on the bubble. The Final Four brought them into this thing, and a lot of schools thought they should have been in there themselves, but. Let's find out what the bias lies with Ohio State. Are they going to drop these guys maybe to number, 8 or 9?
They should, and I get that especially. And they did come into the horseshoe and or they lost at the horseshoe, I should say, where Clemson and Georgia was at least on a neutral field. Clemson only dropped, I think, 3 spots, maybe 4 spots in the rankings, but these teams just don't seem to drop far enough when they lose these big games at home.
Well, the thing that sticks out, Keith, that I look at is Oregon State just ran over like 500 total yards on that Ohio State defense, and that's enough to drop them some notches if I'm looking at it.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Before we move on from college football, I want to talk just briefly about, and I'm going to get into this more in my college football huddle show Wednesday night. I might talk to you about coming on Wednesday to talk about this very topic. So the Big 12 is trying to respond now to, the SEC rating Oklahoma and Tennessee from them. They're 2 marquee franchises, if you will, even with Texas's struggles over the last decade or more. It's still a marquee franchise, right? Or university.
Yeah.
They go and raid the AAC, one of my favorite conferences. I think Carlos messes up. He thinks I like the ACC, which I like Miami. I'm not in love with the ACC. Right. I love the AAC. I think there's some really good football being played there. And now they're going to be in trouble because the best 3 teams, the 2 best teams for sure are gone. Cincinnati and UCF are going to the Big 12, along with Houston and BYU, who's an independent right now. Do you see this as being able to keep the Big 12 as a viable Power 5 conference?
Well, I think when you look at it and it's all said and done, if you're going to start making these conferences the way you want them to make them, and it's all about money, I've been a perfect scenario would be, start giving these colleges top 10 schedules if you want to be a top 10 team. Case in point, if we're going to bring the Pac-12 in and we're going to bring the ACC and all these things, you need to bring the kids out to, Southern Cal. UCLA might, need to go to Clemson, whatever. You got to get these schools moving. If you're a bottom feeder in any one of these conferences, then you have a bottom feeder schedule. That's the way to do it. If you're trying to generate some money, if you're trying to generate some big games to keep up with the SEC, that's the only way you're looking at it. It's like the old thing in the soccer where if you're not good, you drop.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that might be a good point. Maybe that's the way they should run these 3 conferences, right? You have you move up and you move down as you play better and worse.
Well, first of all, Oregon, everybody was watching against Ohio State. Now, if you're in Eugene this week and coming up, who's paying $300 to see you whack Stony Brook? It doesn't make sense.
No, it is. It's just crazy. It's a good rebound game for Ohio State, and I wouldn't want to be Stony Brook. And I hope they're getting paid a lot. I hope they're getting paid a lot of money to make that trip, man. It probably is $1 million payday for them, I'm guessing. So that's why they do it. But again, who wants to see those games? And my worry mark is, and we may have talked about this a little bit before. The Big 12 says they may not even be done. Well, they're up. They're going to be the Big 14 until Oklahoma and Texas leave. Well, even afterwards, right? Because they're adding 4 teams, losing 2. They're going to be the Big 14, and they say they're not done. Maybe.
Well, and when you look out here in Southern California, look at USC starts out, like a bat out of hell, and everybody was getting giddy and talking about, we're moving up and everything. Come on, give me a break. You beat the Spartans, and then you can't even beat the Cardinal, and the Cardinal had a rough one in their first game. So, but I'll tell you that McGee kid is something. Draymond is. Keep your eyes on Stanford too. Shaw knows how to coach, over there. So, but you know what? Stanford has a hell of a schedule going down the stretch. They got, UCLA, they get Oregon, you got Arizona State, you got some games, and that's going to be tough, man, to see how far Stanford can go.
Yeah, that's a big win for them yesterday. USC just, Helton's got to go. He can't keep losing games like this at home when you're with the talent that they have out there. It's just amazing.
Probably the best receivers in the country had last year. Come on, man, you got to get the most out of these guys. I like the London kid, and you got to take advantage. I don't know, their quarterback seems to be off and on at periods of time, stretches, maybe Jared Goff syndrome, who knows, but you got to be able to take care of the football, especially in your backyard. And to make it respectable, okay, But really, if this game, if Stanford really wanted to do it, they probably would have put 60 points up on USC last night.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'll contact you. I think I might want to get you on Wednesday night if you're able to. Maybe we'll dive. I want to dive into this whole realignment thing in more detail. So
I'm there for you, brother.
All right, you're the man. Let's jump into the NFL because it's week 1 in the NFL. And there's some, I'll tell you what, I was thinking about my survivor pool pick, and there's some tough games for week 1 to say this team can't lose, right? It's very tough.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I jumped on your thing. I love that whole pick, the football NFL pick 'em. Yeah. I only really came up with really 2 games this week that I thought were pretty much sure shots. The first one was Thursday night. I figured Tampa would blow out Dallas, and they squeaked by Dallas. And the second game, it took me a time to figure it out, but I figured, okay, here's another sure shot. San Francisco over Detroit. Every other game was a coin flip. And, when you looked at it, and then I picked down below on that one, the Green Bay, New Orleans. And I figured, you know what, maybe New Orleans could do something down there with Winston and everything. That would be the only one I'm looking at. But, boy, the Ravens are dropping like flies, and you might have to pick the Raiders. And if the Raiders lay an egg in that game tomorrow night, I don't know, man. You got to probably start looking at the guy I really like a lot, John Gruden.
Oh, yeah. I know you like John Gruden. I'm afraid that he might be in big trouble if he doesn't get it turned around. Man, he's got 5 new offensive linemen playing, and I'm afraid Carr's in for a rough night Monday night. As far, I think my survivor pick, by the way, is going to be the Rams this week, I think. Even though I don't like them throughout the season, I think they might be my pick this week. Not sure yet. I got till 1 o'clock to get the pick in, so we'll see.
Well, the Bears, they haven't had a quarterback since Jim McMahon was there, and I know they made it to the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman, but come on, this team, Jetson Trubinsky out of there. You saw he came back in the preseason and lit up the Bears, and now you got Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton hasn't been right since Pittsburgh knocked him around in that playoff game where it looked like the WWE took place in, Cincinnati. But I'm not a big Justin Fields guy. I don't hold a lot of stock in Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL. I just think the Bears got the defense to keep them going during the season, but that offense, they're going to have to do something.
Yeah, it's going to be I tell you, there's so many interesting matchups this week. I love the Kansas City Brown game ought to be a really interesting game. And maybe, it's week 1, and it's hard to say that it's going to be indicative of how a season's going to go, especially with the extra weeks this week or this year, the extra week. But again, the Browns, I think, want to show that last year was not a fluke for them. Haven't been big on Baker Mayfield myself. I know a lot of guys have, and he played well in the playoffs. But for one silly rule, they may have beaten the Bills and been in the championship game. It was against the Bills or Chiefs. Oh, they played the Chiefs, didn't they, in the playoff? Yeah, against the Chiefs. They might have been in that championship game against the Bills. They got a lot to prove, I think, in week 1.
I think when I look at the Cleveland Browns, I look at the San Diego Padres. They got swagger there. With Baltimore getting hurt now and losing half their team, the Browns have moved up now. They could be the favorites in the AFC North. I like Mayfield. I like, for the first time in quite a while, we haven't changed coaches in Cleveland like we change clothes every day. But I like the Browns makeup. They open it up, and boy, that AFC North right out of the bat. You got the Browns in Kansas City, you got the Raiders tomorrow night in Vegas, you got the Steelers in Buffalo, and and right away, right after that, Kansas City, I think, goes to and plays the Ravens in week 2, where the Steelers will welcome Vegas. So it's going to be interesting. It's a rock'em sock'em. I think it's the toughest division in football. I could be a little biased there, but I think the Browns can have something. I think today they beat the Chiefs in their backyard.
Yeah, well, I think the Browns are the class of that division, especially with the Ravens' running game issues now. And something I wanted to bring up, and I will in a second. And I think Pittsburgh's going to really struggle. I'm sorry. Ben Roethlisberger is starting to look like he's as old as me, and he looks like he might be as heavy as me, to be honest with you. So I just feel like unless they can really establish a running game with Najee Harris, which they might, I like him a lot. I think they're going to have their trouble this year. And that offensive line's got some questions as well.
Well, let me tell you something. The AFC is like the SEC. You're going to have teams. It's not, a knock on the NFC, but the AFC, if you can have some teams that are, going to have maybe 10, 11 wins that might just not make the playoffs. If they were in the NFC, they'd have a better, I think when you look at the NFC, it's kind of like the junior circuit in baseball. To a certain extent, not to piss off everybody over there, because I do like the Redskins, but I think the AFC is.
You got to put $1 in the pot. You said the Redskins. You got to put $1 in my Redskins kitty.
Yeah,
I've already got about $180 in there. So,
yeah. After this show, I'm going to be heading out with my Portis jersey, and not that Portis has been good these last few days, but I got a Portis jersey, so I got to put it on.
Well, there you go. There you go. Listen, I think this may be. I thought about this last night as I was sitting out back watching Miami and Appalachian State, and I texted you and I said, I think we're going to come up with a new thing that we're going to do for the NFL picks. I like the idea. So we're going to talk about 2 things that are guaranteed to happen, and we're going to talk about 2 things that don't be surprised if it happens. So it's got to be something you wouldn't be thinking is likely to happen. So let's start with your 2. These 2 things are guaranteed to happen today in the NFL.
Well, San Francisco's going to go into Motown and just take them out. That coach over there, he made the press conference look like a WWE event or, a boxing promotion. We're going to knock you down. You're going to knock us down. We're going to hit you harder. You're going to knock us. We're going to break your knees. You're going to break ours. I mean, come on, man. Get some, the Lions haven't been relevant. I'll be 60 in November. They haven't been relevant in, 6 decades. They haven't won a division since 91, a playoff since 93. I'm not sold on Jared Goff. Never was. Deer in headlights. I think the 49ers go in there and pummel the Lions.
That's a good one. And what's your second guaranteed thing to happen
My
today?
second one is, I'll tell you, I like New England, man. I really like that, what Belichick did. He gave Mac Jones. Mac Jones learned under Saban. They got a pipeline going from Alabama to New England in the NFL. And I think Mac Jones is going to have a hell of a game today. And I like Mac Jones. He's going to be there for quite a while in New England. Another decade quarterback lasting. Not Steve Grogan type. I'm talking about Tom Brady type.
I like both of them, but obviously Brady had a little more success than Steve Grogan. Here's my 2. I'm going to go with you sort of on this. My guarantee is that Belichick schools Tua today, and that's the big matchup for me in that game is Belichick against Tua, and I think Belichick is licking his chops. They're going to stop the run. Their front 7 is much better than it was last year. They're better equipped to stop Miami from running the football, and I think the Patriots do get off the Mac, and they don't ask Mac Jones to do too much. If they get behind this game, it could be a different story, but I'm guaranteeing a Patriot victory over New England, and unfortunately, my other guarantee is Pittsburgh will have 0 chance against that Buffalo team. I think Buffalo's this far behind the Chiefs as the best team in the AFC, so I just think your Pittsburgh team is going to get dismantled today. We'll see.
Yeah, it should be interesting.
So there's our 2 guarantees. Now let's go to. Don't be surprised if this happens, but it needs to be a surprise, right?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I've been high on the Eagles, and it's not a WWDB AM 860 promotion here, but a lot of people look at this division with Washington and the Giants battling it out. It's going to be those 2 teams down the stretch. But this is the other one to keep the team out of the cellar, and I think Philly finds a way to surprise it. This is a team that, when you look at the NFC, I was saying earlier, they could be a playoff team. I like to pick up a Minshew. I like Hurts with cooking up with Devontae Smith there. I like the Eagles to pull one in Atlanta today. I think what you're going to see in this game, I call it the Bird Bowl. But I will tell you this, whoever wins this game, I would be a bit surprised.
I can look at a couple of ways, by the way, the Bird Bowl.
16 weeks from now or whatever, one of these teams will look back on this and catapulted it where, not many people paid attention to it. I think, Atlanta losing, that receiver to Tennessee, got a brain fart now. I can't think of his name right now. He went to Tennessee during the offseason, but Jones, Julio Jones.
Oh, Julio Jones. Right.
Yeah. That might hurt him, but maybe Ryan can have a bounce back. You got Pitts there, the rookie. It's
Love
gonna be
Kyle
interesting.
Pitts. Kyle
But
Pitts.
I'll tell you, I like Philly in this game.
Good call.
And the other one, I like Cleveland to go into Kansas City and pay the Chiefs back. A lot of people think the Chiefs can get to the AFC Championship. I'm not sold on the State Farm quarterback there. Mahomes, I think it's, the Browns are going to go in there. They should have won last year. They came up short. It's the payback revenge tour. They're going to the Sea of Red, and they're beating the Chiefs today.
Okay, good call. My two, don't be surprised if it happens. Arizona comes east and beats Tennessee today.
Wow.
Straight out. I think Arizona's a sleeper team. I think Kyle Murray's ready to come into his own. And I just think this team is going to play better defense. And I think they're going to surprise the Tennessee Titans out of the gate today. That's surprise. Don't be surprised, number one. My second, don't be surprised. Sam Darnold has a big game against his former team today. I just think with McCaffrey, if he stays healthy, and Robbie Anderson at wide receiver being reunited. I know they had some problems in New York at times, but I just think Joe Brady is a great offensive coordinator. I love what Matt Rule's doing there. And I think not only the Panthers handle the Jets today, which wouldn't be that big a surprise, but Sam Darnold is a key reason why they do it. So
totally agree. I like Darnold. I thought, he got a bum rap in New York. They could have built around there. They could have brought in a guy like Pitts with that second pick. They chose to go a different route, bring in a quarterback. The problem with the NFL today, it's not like years back when, you draft a guy like Elway who hold a clipboard at the Berg and learn the system. Now they don't want to even wait for these guys. 2 seasons, they're ready to, jettison them to another part of the country. And I think Darnold does, pull one on the Jets. I always tell the Jet fans, you're about a year out. If you can get through this year and get some more growing pains under your belt, Jets will be good next year, and they might win this division.
That'd be a quick growth pattern for sure. But
yeah.
I'll tell you what, that division is going to be really tough for years to come once the Jets do get, to that level. And I do believe they're on the right track, not being a Jets fan even a little bit. So we only got a couple minutes left. I'm going to give you 2 minutes because I'm not on the NBA yet, but I know you're excited to talk about the Lakers a little bit. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to talk about the Lakers and what you threw at me last night through a text.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The Lakers, getting rid of Gasol there and moving him back to Memphis. When I look at the Lakers, I'm more or less looking at a team with a lot of veterans, a lot of shooters, and maybe Geritol on the sidelines. Because this is a team that, they're going to really have to watch minutes of these guys. They're all up there in age. You got LeBron, you got Carmelo, you got Rondo, you got wear and tear on these guys. I think it's very important to keep the Lakers healthy, rest these guys, limit their minutes. Going to be an interesting year. I know a lot of people got the Lakers and, Nets for the NBA finals, but those are the same people that seem to, look at a few stats, look at a few superstars and think, this is going to be, where it is. Don't tell that to the people, of Miami, the defending champion Milwaukee Bucks. Philly's going to be back in the mix if Simmons and they get Lillard over there. Who knows? On the other side of the coin, I'm not a big fan of this team as the Denver Nuggets, but, who knows? Denver could be there, great regular season team. You've got Utah, Phoenix coming back. Phoenix can go, this could be a team that, could be a major disappointment. A lot of people say, well, why do you say that, Mancini? I don't know. It took a lot out of them. They got there. They got beat by the Bucks after they kind of, brought it to the Bucks. And, this could be like the Kansas City Chiefs, or the Atlanta Falcons. You lose when you thought you should have won and dominate, and then you stay out of the big game for years. But Phoenix will get in the playoffs. Keep your eye on the Golden State Warriors, man. I like what they're doing there.
Well, there's a quick early look at the NBA. We have a little ways to go. I lost Kenny. I get the NBA up. Kenny's got here in 2 seconds. So. Kenny's not a big fan of the walk. I can't remember what he calls it, the walk and chalk league or something. I don't know.
No defense.
Whatever. So listen, and Carlos, I know you had a couple more comments on the the Big 12 and their changes. Tune in Wednesday night. We're going to talk more in depth on that Wednesday night. So, Mark, I appreciate you coming in today. Enjoy the games today. Good luck to those Steelers. I just think it's going to get ugly for them, but we'll see. That's why they play the games.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. When I go out sometimes and I wear my Steeler jersey, I got that Bumblebee outfit. And people goes, it looks like a jail cell outfit. And I go, well, the black and gold will come back. 6 Super Bowls. Hopefully we'll get another one. I think when the dust clears, I got Tampa and Pittsburgh. I know Pittsburgh needs to shore up that offensive line. But, man, I appreciate this every Sunday on the show that's sweeping the country with you, brother.
All right. I'm happy to have you on. Good luck. We'll talk to you during the week about Wednesday coming up.
Yeah. God bless you.
Have a great one. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye. All right, guys, I have got to get out of here so that I can get on the road. Sorry about the audio problem. When Mark came on, I'll have to do some testing before Wednesday night. We'll talk more of this college football, more realignment on Wednesday night show. I thank all you guys who come into the room every week. Thank the groups that allow me to share this. Guys, you have a great weekend, and I will see you on the other side. Keith Engel for TGI Sports Talk. I am out of here, and have a great Sunday football day.
This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports.